So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over some other options when our partner's weight is on the back leg instead of the front leg, okay? So let's say Gavin starts to work his way up to his right foot. I put my right foot on the hip, okay, and I start to angle myself in. So when I'm here, like I said, if his shoulders are forward like this, his weight's either gonna be on this leg or that leg, okay? So I can just start to feel it. So let's say I try to take him to my left. It's not working, okay? So when I feel that, or even let's say like I do off balance him a little bit, but he catches his weight, look here, now I already know where his weight is. It's on the back leg. So there's a couple of different reactions that we can get, okay? Remember, the mechanic though, as I kazushi him, I bring him to my right and I bend my wrist like this, look, like so, okay? The salpe mechanic, so we go like this, okay? Now, if he drops to his knee, okay, I don't need to explain this too much because we've basically gone over this already, but if he drops his knee, look where I am. I'm back into my preferred finishing spot where I can just I hook the hip, I break the grip, I pinch my knees, I adjust, and I get the finish that I'm looking for, okay? This is always my preference, okay? And it happens oftentimes. But a common reaction that we'll get here is as I start to off balance them to the right, okay, I start bending my wrist, right? First of all, let's talk about this mechanic. Look, I'm not just like rigging to my right. I'm leaning back, right? My head's on the floor. I try to take it to my left. Boom, does it work? Okay. Now look, I bend my wrist and I start extending. I start to hinge again. Look, see that? Now once he posts his hand on the floor, look what happens with his leg. See how far it is? I'm gonna hook, okay? Hook to the back leg, kind of like an X guard. So as I hook here, I'm gonna bring the leg towards me and I'm gonna grab the end of the pants, okay? There's a couple of different ways I can control the pants, but my preferred method's always gonna get a 4-finger grip here on the pants sleeve. See that? So once I get here, okay, what's gonna happen is there's a lot of reactions we can get, but Gavin's gonna put both his hands to the floor, okay? When he puts both his hands to the floor, right, it's gonna be really hard for me to just like put him on his butt right now, okay? So let's turn now. So look what I'm gonna do. When he puts both his hands to the floor, I'm gonna get my right foot and I'm gonna put it right on the inner part of his thigh, right here, okay? So as I go like this, look, I'm gonna step my foot. So what I wanna do now is I wanna get counter pressure, okay? Because I wanna take his leg off the floor, okay? And when his weight's on his hands, okay, it's gonna be pretty easy. So one of two things are gonna happen, okay? When I push his leg and pull, okay, if there's not as much weight in his arms, he's gonna start to fall to his knee. And look where we are. We go right back to the spot that we want, okay? But if I get this counter pressure, and now look, his leg lifts, look, what does that mean? All of his weight's on his arms, okay? So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna create alignment, okay? I'm gonna start to push with my feet, putting more weight on his arms, and my right elbow on the floor, look, I'm gonna close my elbow like this. Because when I close my elbow, I can push off of it to take my hips and square up with him. You see that? Once I start to square up with him, now I can start to bring him to my left. Look what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna punch his leg up like this, and I'm gonna swing it to the side. Now he's gonna fall. Okay, once he starts to fall, now from here, we're in double pull again. I can start stepping on the hip, start finishing. If you say square with me, I can go here, and if he goes to the side, I can work back to the side. Okay, so once again, I'm here, he's got his foot in the ground. We got the collar grip, look, right? I can feel it. Here, I don't have to like look and know where the weight is immediately, okay? This is feeling period. I don't have to think too much. I can start feeling him side to side and start off balancing and feeling what direction I can really maximize, okay? So I try to take it to my left, it doesn't work. Okay, now I pull the collar like this, my head's to the floor. I start stepping on the hip, look, just like this. You see how he poses his hands? My right foot hooks, and I grab the pant grip, okay? Now from here, like I said, put my foot, the ball of my foot, okay? This part right on the inner part of his thigh. So not close to his knee, okay? I want it almost like very close to my left foot here. Look, I press. So look what's gonna happen. This detail is really, really big. I'm getting counter pressure. So I kick with my right leg and I pull, okay? And this is gonna tell me where his weight is. Like I said, if he falls to his knee, we go back to our preferred finishing method, okay? But if I push and look, all of his weight goes on his arms, what does that mean? He's holding himself up. So I'm gonna put more weight into his arms. See that? Now I'm making him do, like, he's holding a lot more weight. So I close my elbow, and think about it this way. The more weight I put in his arms, the lighter his legs are gonna be, the easier it's gonna be for me to spin, okay? So as I put weight in his arms, look, I close my elbow, and I'm gonna press, okay? So I'm gonna, see how my right hip's on the floor right now? I'm gonna use my elbow to pry and get my hip off the floor. As I'm doing this, I'm putting all the weight in his arms. Now all I have to do is I'm gonna punch this leg up like this, 1. Now I'm gonna swing it past my butt like this. Look how he's gonna fall. Now we end up back in double pull where I can work one of the 3 finishing methods. Try to kazushi to my left. Look, his weight's in the back leg now. See that? Now I'm gonna bring him to the right. Look, I force the hinge at the hip, I pull, and I guide with the salt big grip. Boom, he posts on his hands. Hook, and I grab. Okay? Now I step on the inner part of his thigh, I kick and I pull. If he falls to his knee, perfect, that's what I want. Okay? Lace the top leg across. If I kick and pull and he stays up in his hand, look, I put more weight in his hand. Look, see that? Put more weight in his arms. Now, okay, I use my elbow, go back here a little bit. I use my elbow, my left elbow is a very important detail. I'm gonna twist like my hand right here, I'm gonna twist my palm up. Because when I twist my palm up, I can use my elbow on the floor. Okay? Now all I'm gonna do, look, I twist my palm up, I use my elbow on the floor, my elbow's right next to my hip. It's gonna pry my hip off the floor, okay? So I close my elbow next to my hip and I pry it. You see that? Look, if my elbow's too far, look, I can't do it. I twist palm up, I pull his leg towards me, I press. Now look, once I get him square with me, I punch the leg and I swing it to the side. Now I'm able to work the finish that I want.